Welcome to Moments of Cheating. Tonight's story is raw, and it's personal. What would you do if the person you loved laughed at your insecurities behind your back? Let's find out. They were laughing behind my back. I just didn't know it yet. I'd never been what you'd call a confident guy. Not that I had major insecurities, but I wasn't the type of man people would label ideal material. No six-pack abs, no broad shoulders, no picture-perfect smile. But I always believed that honesty, kindness, and loyalty mattered more than looks. When I started dating Ella, I thought I'd found someone who truly saw that in me. She always said she loved my authenticity, that she preferred guys who weren't obsessed with the gym. I loved that around her, I could just be myself, completely and utterly myself. We'd been together almost a year. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but I believed she loved me. We laughed together, made plans, talked about our future. Sometimes she'd go out for girls' nights with her friends, and I'd stay home, waiting for her to come back with stories and that bright smile of hers. Everything seemed normal. At least, that's what I thought. The trust one felt was so complete, so absolute. When she'd take my hand in public, I felt proud. When she'd introduce me to new people, I stood a little taller. This was love, I told myself. This was what it felt like to be chosen, to be wanted exactly as you are. One night, she fell asleep beside me without locking her phone. I wasn't the type to invade someone's privacy, but that evening, there was this strange feeling gnawing at me, like something was off. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I just needed to check. And instantly, I wished I hadn't. I opened her chat with her girlfriends. There was an entire stream of messages, dozens of them. Laughter, emojis, photos. One picture stopped me cold. It was me, from our beach trip. I remembered how Ella had asked me to pose, said it was just for her. In the photo, I stood in swim shorts, looking slightly uncomfortable. I'd never liked being photographed shirtless. And there, under my photo, were the comments that shattered everything. "Girl, you're a saint for putting up with this." Followed by crying laughing emojis. How do you even? I mean, seriously, how? You deserve so much better than this situation. Message after message, each one cutting deeper than the last. They weren't just making fun of how I looked, they were questioning how she could even stand to be with me. The word situation hit particularly hard. That's all I was to them. A situation to be endured. My hands were shaking as I scrolled further back. Months and months of conversations, all centered around the same theme. How could Ella possibly be with someone like me? They had nicknames for me. Inside jokes about my appearance. Screenshots of my social media posts with commentary that made my stomach turn. But the worst part. Ella's responses. She never defended me. Not once. Instead, she played along, making excuses about why she stayed. "He's really sweet though," she'd write, as if my personality was some consolation prize for my appearance. "And he treats me so well," followed by a shrugging emoji, like being treated well was just an added bonus she had to accept along with the disappointment of my looks. There were conversations about other guys, ones they thought she should be with instead. Photos of men from dating apps with comments like, "Now this is more your type," and Ella responding with heart eye emojis. She was window shopping while lying next to me every night. The betrayal was so complete, so systematic. Every sweet thing she'd ever said to me about accepting people for who they are, it was all performance. Every time she'd told me I was handsome, every time she'd said looks didn't matter to her, lies. Comfortable, easy lies that kept me believing while she and her friends turned me into their private entertainment. I sat there in the dark, staring at months of evidence that the woman I loved saw me as a charity case. The woman I'd been planning a future with had been counting down the days until she could do better. The cruelest part wasn't just the mockery, it was the realization of how thoroughly I'd been fooled. Every kiss had been fake. Every "I love you" had been scripted. She'd built an entire relationship on a foundation of lies while treating our private moments like material for her friends' amusement. I thought about all those girls' nights, All those times she'd come home and been extra affectionate. Now I knew why: guilt. She was overcompensating after spending hours with her friends, discussing how she could possibly be settling for someone like me. The next morning, she woke up cheerful and loving, just like always. She kissed my forehead and asked what I wanted for breakfast. I looked into those eyes that I'd thought held genuine affection, and all I could see was the performance. The elaborate, year-long performance of pretending to love someone you actually found embarrassing. I never told her what I'd discovered. I couldn't bear to hear more lies, more excuses, more fake reassurances. Instead, I quietly began planning my exit from a relationship that had never really existed, at least not the way I thought it had. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who hurt us most deeply, not through dramatic betrayals, but through the quiet, consistent cruelty of never seeing us as worthy of genuine love. And sometimes, the laughter we don't hear is the loudest sound of all. We all want to be seen and accepted, just the way we are. But some people only pretend to love you, while mocking you when you're not looking. If you've ever been shamed, betrayed, or humiliated by someone you trusted, this story is your reminder: you are not the problem. Subscribe for more stories like this. And remember, the deepest cuts come from whispers, not knives.